AI RAN ecosystem playbook, collaborating for scale and ROI. It's great to have you all with us, and I really hope you enjoyed the session. And I'd also like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Red Hat, for partnering with us on this one and bring extensive expertise in AI RAN. So before we begin, if you could just click on the next slide, just a quick bit of housekeeping to make sure everything goes smoothly. You should see a control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can expand or hide it using the orange arrow button at the top. And inside that panel, you'll find a questions box where you can type any questions or comments that you may have during the session, and we'll then go through as many of those as we can during the panel discussion, which we plan on having towards the end of the session. And be assured that you won't be named in any way, so please feel free to ask whatever you want to ask, and we'll do our best to answer it. And if we can't get to all of those questions, and sometimes we really can't because we get a lot of them, then we'll ensure to give you written answers and distribute those after the session, and we'll also include the slides and the recording of the session. And then in terms of the logistics, all of the attendees are muted and in listen-only mode. And if you're having any problems with, for example, sound, then I suggest you try signing out and then back in, and hopefully that will sort it. But if that doesn't help, then please let us know using the chat box, and we will do our best to help out. And you can also raise your hand using the hand button if you really need our attention. I think that should be it in terms of housekeeping. So who do we have on? If you click onto the next slide, we have a fantastic lineup of speakers today, starting with my colleague Alice, who is a consultant at STL Partners, and will kick things off with a presentation on the strategic role of the ecosystem in turning AI RAN's potential into tangible business outcomes. And my name is Gabby. I'm one of the senior consultants here at STL Partners, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's session. We're also joined by Hanem Garcia, who is a chief architect for telecommunications working in CTO office at Red Hat, who will share insights on partnerships and the importance of ecosystem from Red Hat's perspective. And then for the panel, we also have Ankit Rajput here, who is a partner business manager for cloud and AI RAN at Nokia, who's going to be bringing vendors' perspective into the panel discussion. And last but absolutely not least, we have Roberto Puche, who is CTIO at Telefonica Movistar, who will share the operator view during the panel. So without further ado, let's get started. Alice, over to you.
Thank you, Gabby, and thank you for the introduction. Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to those of you who've watched previous webinars in our AI RAN series, which explored the concept and commercial viability of deploying AI in the RAN. To kick off, it's important to outline that there are three distinct AI RAN deployment strategies. Firstly, on the left-hand side, we have AI for RAN. This is all about embedding AI models into the radio signal processing layer to improve the RAN performance. The focus here is on improving several key performance indicators by using AI, so things like energy consumption, network latency, and processing capacity. Then there's AI and RAN. This takes things a step further by looking at the RAN as part of a larger converged infrastructure. The vision here is a shared platform that can orchestrate both network and enterprise AI workloads. And finally, there is AI on RAN. This builds on the tools and capabilities developed in the first two areas. Here, the focus is on commercialization and defining the business models that will allow operators to offer new AI-driven services to enterprise customers. In today's webinar, we will explore why partnerships across the ecosystem will be central to driving AI RAN success. For the first deployment model, which is currently the most advanced, partnerships primarily revolve around technical collaborations, and these are to optimize internal performance within the RAN. So typical applications include dynamic spectrum management, traffic prediction, fault detection, and beamforming optimization. However, in the case of AI and RAN and AI on RAN, alignment goes beyond technology into commercial models, governance, and ecosystem incentives. In today's webinar, we'll focus on why partnerships are relevant to these two models as they offer promising monetization opportunities, and we'll look to unpack how partnerships can act as a critical enabler for the wider AI RAN ecosystem. When aligning their AI-RAN partnership strategies, there are three key questions telcos should consider. First and foremost, telcos should really try to understand why they need to partner for AI-RAN success. AI-RAN is undoubtedly a hot topic at the moment, and it encompasses multiple moving parts. Ultimately, no single player will be able to deliver the benefits it promises alone. We'll delve into why collaboration and coordination should be central to telco strategy. Secondly, we'll look at who telcos can partner with. As we'll demonstrate, the ecosystem is large and diverse, and telcos will need to understand which players they should work with to coordinate end-to-end delivery in order to realize the material benefits AI-RAN can offer. Finally, we'll turn to looking at the factors which influence partnership dynamics and what considerations telcos should bear in mind to ensure that partnerships are structured in a mutually beneficial way that safeguards their strategic positions. We'll address these questions in the following slides, and we'll look at how telcos can approach partnership strategically, using it as a tool to capture and augment the value of running AI workloads in the RAN. Firstly, looking at why telcos need to partner. This is because AI-RAN represents more than a mere network upgrade. It is a significant shift towards a more software-defined, AI-enabled network architecture. Delivering this at scale will require capabilities that most telcos do not have in-house. Running AI workloads on the same infrastructure as live RAN functions introduces perceived risk, from performance unpredictability and data leakage to compliance concerns. Telcos can therefore look to partner to develop their capabilities in some particular areas, including, for example, workload isolation and multi-tenant workload management. This is a domain they have less experience in than other players, like hyperscalers, for instance. Protecting and separating RAN workloads and sensitive network functions from additional workloads, whether they be internal or third-party, will be important to protect data and preserve service quality without risking live traffic. Similarly, AI lifecycle management is a crucial area needed to make AI-RAN work. In comparison to other players accustomed to training, validating, deploying, and monitoring AI models, telcos have less experience in this domain and can look to leverage expertise through partnership to address this capability gap. This is also the case in areas like orchestration and AI assurance and governance. To address these capability gaps, telcos will need to work with partners, allowing them to realize the true benefits of AI-RAN, which include cost savings through better resource utilization, automation, and reduced manual intervention. And another benefit of AI-RAN is performance improvement. This is achieved through optimized network performance and enhanced user experience. AI can anticipate and optimize network conditions dynamically, and AI-driven networks can predict user needs and adjust the network to deliver consistent, high-quality experiences. And finally, AI-RAN opens the door to new services. AI-RAN introduces new revenue opportunities for telcos, enabling operators to offer differentiated services, such as dynamic network slicing, which has strict quality of service requirements. Moreover, AI-RAN offers telcos the opportunity to host and monetize enterprise AI workloads on infrastructure that they already operate, opening up new use cases in verticals where low latency, data locality, and privacy are critical. Telcos should therefore look to those with experience in these domains to form strategic partnerships. It is therefore important to identify who the key ecosystems players might be. The AI-RAN ecosystem is diverse and interdependent, and distinct players ranging from chip providers to AI software platforms will need to play a role alongside telcos on the journey to successfully commercializing AI-RAN. It will be important for telcos to engage with experienced players across the ecosystem. Telcos themselves own the infrastructure, set the requirements, and manage integration across the network. But they're just one piece of a much larger puzzle, so it'll be important for them to engage with network vendors, for instance, who'll supply AI-integrated RAN equipment and develop the software frameworks necessary for enabling AI workloads at the network edge. These vendors will play a pivotal role in embedding AI functions such as automation, network optimization, and intelligent control with existing infrastructure. Equally, hyperscalers have a role to play in providing critical expertise in cloud infrastructure, orchestration, and workload management. They also offer platforms that support developer engagement and multi-tenant AI operations. These capabilities will ultimately be essential for enabling flexible AI deployments, models, and supporting third-party developer ecosystems. Chipmakers, too, are deeply embedded into this system. designing and manufacturing the specialized processors required for AI workloads, including GPUs, neural processing units, and AI accelerators. The performance, efficiency, and availability of this hardware will have a direct impact on the viability of AI RAN solutions. The list goes on, and participants range from ISVs to systems integrators, and these will play a critical role in bringing together hardware, software, and cloud capabilities into cohesive deployable solutions. On top of this, there are AI startups and industry communities like the AI RAN Alliance. The ecosystem will likely continue to expand as AI RAN technologies mature. However, beyond these supply-side players, there's another key player that should be considered as part of the ecosystem, and that is the customer. This leads us on to the crucial question: what role should customers play in the AI RAN ecosystem? To answer that question, customers will ultimately shape the demand for AI RAN, and the supply-side ecosystem will resolve itself if demand is built in from the start. However, this might be complicated for telcos to achieve, as historically they've struggled to get close to enterprise customers and develop meaningful relationships with them to deliver value beyond basic connectivity. Engaging customers has proved difficult, for instance, in the case of APIs. Telcos have struggled over a number of years to engage developers to incorporate their network APIs into developer applications, focusing on the technology first and customer engagement second. A different tactic is therefore important now, and there are a few things telcos can do to include customers in the AI RAN ecosystem from the very beginning. Firstly, engaging with enterprise customers to understand their pain point is critical. By seeking to understand where enterprises are struggling, telcos will be able to position AI RAN as a viable solution to genuine enterprise problems. This will make it easier to sell and will ultimately boost demand, ensuring that telcos and enterprises are on the same page and speaking the same language. To facilitate this, telcos should start small, partnering with 1 to 2 enterprises to co-develop and test solutions together, inviting an enterprise to be a partner in the truest sense. Working together with a small number of enterprise partners will ultimately improve the commercial viability of AI RAN solutions further down the line, offering long-term benefits and ensuring solution sustainability and relevance. This could involve inviting partners to collaborate in defining commercial terms, moving from a transactional relationship to collaborative innovation, as telcos will be able to provide the infrastructure to run sector-specific solutions, including, for example, asset tracking in manufacturing, or AI-powered robotics in industrial environments, or secure video analytics for government use, and also real-time logistics tracking in retail. Building the customer in really means not relying on a one-size-fits-all solution and tailoring something to meet the needs of enterprises with different sizes in different verticals in specific locations and with their specific requirements in mind. AI RAN will only become commercially viable and scalable with the customer prioritized from the beginning. However, it's important to think strategically about cross-ecosystem collaboration. This leads us onto the strategic considerations involved in structuring partnerships. Although collaboration unlocks speed, telcos need to establish a balance between partnership and over-reliance. An important consideration is the degree of control telcos will retain over critical functions within the AI RAN value chain. Those that have control over these areas will naturally be better placed to capture the available financial upside. 3 important areas worth mentioning include orchestration, and this means owning the service blueprint and the policies that decide where workloads run and how resources are allocated across the RAN. AI management too is relevant, as whoever retains ownership of data pipelines, model evaluation, deployment, and monitoring is poised to dictate value capture. And in a different way, developer engagement will be important, as managing or owning the relationship with application builders will be critical in shaping AI RAN monetization opportunities. For telcos, partnering becomes more difficult as we move from left to right. And they've historically had difficulty engaging with the developer community, with the earlier example I mentioned of APIs. Players who have experience in this include hyperscalers or ISVs, who have large developer communities around their cloud compute. As is to be expected in partnership, those that manage or provide the majority of value-creating capabilities are likely to get a larger share of the revenue pie. So the players that control these domains will shape who extracts value from AI RAN. Therefore, if these areas are primarily led by external partners, this will make it harder for telcos to monetize and capture the full value of their AI investments. To combat this possibility and to avoid losing out on revenue opportunities, telcos must look to build internal competencies in these three areas to reduce over-reliance on any single partner, allowing them to be agile as the market evolves. Ensuring that they maintain a degree of control in the areas of orchestration, AI management, and developer engagement by effectively structuring partnerships in these areas and balancing this with upskilling will give telcos more autonomy over how value will be shared. In order to access this value, telcos must think about how they structure partnerships. This means being actively involved in setting the terms of engagement and aligning partnership incentives with telcos' own strategic goals. This translates into practical steps that can be taken in 4 domains. In the realm of data, a strategic approach to data ownership starts with agreeing how data can be accessed and used so roles and responsibilities are clear and operator oversight is preserved. It also means ensuring that especially sensitive information from the network and from customers remains under appropriate operator rights and protections. From a monetization perspective, telcos should agree clear commercial arrangements with partners, including how value will be shared. By using commercial templates that support cost sharing, revenue sharing, and outcome bonuses, telcos can ensure that the economics stay aligned for all parties. Telcos must set up a governance approach that preserves operator oversight and meets compliance needs, being clear about who does what across partners, especially for managing and orchestrating AI models, so decisions and accountability are well understood. Finally, telcos should put practical coordination routines in place across internal teams and external partners to ensure effective ecosystem orchestration. By aligning incentives and agreeing on shared goals, telcos can keep delivery on track and encourage ongoing innovation without risking the duplication of effort, ensuring transparency and cohesion across the wider ecosystem. To conclude, partnerships will be the key to making the AI RAN ecosystem work. However, telcos must think strategically about how to approach these partnerships and who to partner with as AI RAN becomes more commercially viable, moving from pilots and POCs to scalable deployments. Ultimately, ecosystem partnerships are a critical enabler for AI RAN, and telcos must balance the benefits of collaboration with the need to safeguard their strategic position. Those that succeed will be those who engage early, shape partnerships deliberately, and invest in the capabilities required to remain active participants in the AI RAN value chain. Thank you very much for listening, and I will be handing over to Hanan, our presenter from Red Hat.
Thank you. Thank you, Alice, for the introduction. I hope the mic is working properly now. Thank you, everybody. My name is Hanan Garcia. I'm Chief Architect for the telecommunication industry at the Office of the CTO at Red Hat. And one of the topics that we wanted to address today is a little bit about the collaboration, right? I think through the journeys, telcos have been through different journeys on the past 10 years, not only adopting new generation of the network technology and moving from 4G to 5G, but as well how the infrastructure for those networks has been evolving, including cloud native technologies. And now we are looking into how this new journey or the journey continue on mainly from the core now toward the RAN, and we're seeing the evolution of what is happening on the RAN with the introduction of AI. So as we move to the next slide, I wanted to emphasize on the open collaboration and open collaboration and open source, as everybody knows, are catalysts to accelerate innovation, and that's a fact we haven't seen already through the NFV journey, through the cloud transformation of the network, and we are even going forward now on the openness on the RAN and the introduction of the artificial intelligence on the RAN. And I wanted to focus a little bit into a few communities that are important for that collaboration and to accelerate the innovation, the introduction of new technology into the radio asset networks. Starting with, for example, the O-RAN. In the O-RAN Alliance community, we have done extremely great work to standardize around what we call the Open RAN architecture and defining open interfaces, which are critical to enable interoperability and as well to fast track the creation of innovative services. We have seen already many news out there with regard to how Open RAN is being introduced on networks across the world. And with that, we have as well the AI RAN Alliance that is driving today the introduction of the AI into the mobile access network or the radio access network, and AI being the fastest growing technology across all industries, we expect the same openness to drive adoption of AI within the radio asset network through the AI RAN Alliance. Another important community I've been mentioning about the cloud native journey is the CNCF. There is a lot of work that has been done as well to provide a cloud foundation to support the Open RAN and the RAN initiative that is emerging now. And the thing is that the AI opportunities is a massive opportunity, and but that relies on the whole industry to act and collaborate openly to address that opportunity. At Red Hat, we are actively participating on each of those communities to drive openness, to drive cloud nativeness, and as well to fast track the adoption of the AI technologies within the network. We move forward. There are many areas that AI will impact within the network, and more precisely, you can see on the radio access network, and that will create different opportunities for the whole ecosystem. And I think, and I've been open on this, it's not just about providing raw GPU capacity. It's more about creating new services that were not possible without that capacity or that capability. So before the introduction of AI. And at Red Hat, we aim to provide that foundation, or to provide a foundation to enable those capabilities and future services that the complete ecosystem will expect from the AI infrastructure that is being put in place within the network itself. And on the as we move forward on the next, we are showing here is an example of how we're creating that foundation, and that goes from the data ingestion to optimizing and serving the models. Of course, that includes the management of the life cycle of both predictive and generative models. We have here a lot about generative technology, and that generative technology will play a role into that infrastructure. But there is as well the predictive side of it that is very important, especially when we are trying to optimize and anticipate, and even on the phases of self-healing or the network automation that we are seeing as well adoption across the world on many operators moving towards those autonomous networks. Now, that management the management of the life cycle is very important because independently that are predictive or generative model, those models will be used through the entire network. And of course, they will be critical to enable new innovative services. So we are making sure that the operators and partners that we work with in the ecosystem have that stable foundation to be able to have the complete management lifecycle of everything that is AI on the network. And but again, is, as I was mentioning before, and as we move forward, is not just about one entity or one community, is how we come all together. As I mentioned before, is about open collaboration and open source at the center as a catalyst to accelerate that innovation, and as well for the whole community to and the whole industry to act and collaborate openly to address this massive opportunity that is in front of us. And that's why we are actively involved and closely working with our ecosystem partner. Here you can see a small portion of that ecosystem partners to help and to enable the operators on the AI journey. I cannot mention, I will not mention any details, but I can say openly that we have been working increasingly with NVIDIA to make sure that all GPU capabilities are available, but not only with NVIDIA, we have been working with AMD, ARM, and Intel to make sure that the capacity is there and for enabling the AI and everything that will be possible to do with AI, and working as well closely with partners like SoftBank and on, for example, creating and building the first I will call it, is the first approach on the AI RAN infrastructure that we are discussing right now on the AI RAN Alliance. And and with that, I want to give back the floor to our friends from STL, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Hanan, so much. And thank you, Alice, as well, for the presentation, which I think it was a really great foundation for the discussion that we're about to have. So if I could have the rest of the panelists join now. I think we're just waiting for Ankit. Yep, we're all here. So yeah, I guess we can just dive straight in. So start us off, I guess, you know, AI RAN is a very broad and very much evolving space at the moment. And we have already seen some early partnerships emerging. So I guess my first question would be, where do you see the most promising opportunities for those partnerships to deliver AI RAN at scale? You know, are there any particular parts of the value chain where collaboration could make the biggest impact? Maybe we can start with you, Ankit.
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's a good question for current scenario, because but let me start with something.
I knew I could target it.
Yeah. So in general, like the path to deliver AI RAN at scale lies like in collaborating with companies, which you mentioned also, Alice mentioned also, that my perception is the companies that are leaders in their specific domains, where each partner brings unique core competencies to the table. And let me highlight a current example, which I'm talking about right now, like Nokia to expand its global access portfolio with the new AI RAN product based on NVIDIA platform. And T-Mobile US is working with us to upgrade their 6G network in future. And that technology provides its power as server. So if you see that the kind of announcement which was made day before yesterday, and if you see that all four companies are leaders in their respective domains. And obviously, I'm not forgetting the Red Hat, because they are also leaders in cache, actually. So if we are talking about this kind of scenario, then I would say like it's a perfect example of good partnership for future point of view.
Yeah, no, I agree. I guess the partners, you know, the leading companies partnering does bring a lot of benefits. Do you share that view, Roberto?
Yes, Gabi. Well, I think that partnerships with companies but it depends on the stage that we're talking about. For example, in AI for RAN, I would say that we need to bring expertise in artificial intelligence, but mainly focus on RAN efficiency, energy and spectrum and all the efficiency that we can get in the RAN. So in this first stage, I would say that we will need more specialization in telco expertise, and maybe in the AI and RAN and AI on RAN, we will need maybe new partners to join these ecosystems. I will say that maybe companies with a deep expertise in some verticals, for example, in retail, in mining, in transportation, or wherever, that could bring very robust and specialized inference models to these segments in the B2B market in order for them to deploy use cases that bring value for B2B customers and for ourselves as the ones providing the AI in the RAN.
No, that's really interesting. Thank you. And I guess, it is really interesting that you're mentioning other players, because obviously we hear quite a lot about hyperscalers. We hear about chip makers, other vendors as the key players. But it's really interesting that you're mentioning vertical specific ISVs. So I was wondering if there are any other, players who are going to be really important in shaping this ecosystem. I know Alice mentioned a couple in her presentation, but maybe starting with you, Hanan, who do you think are going to be the key players when this ecosystem keeps on evolving?
That's a good, interesting question, because we are seeing that this is moving, and it's moving really fast at the latest news this week. So I think that it relies on and maybe today as how things are moving, we are seeing the participation mainly of the big players on AI, and the big players on the radio access network as well that are involved. And probably the market is not yet mature enough for seeing the second wave. I will expect it will be when we're going to see more startups coming up especially when the infrastructure is in place. I think this is where we're going to see more startup coming up with specific vertical solutions that will be able to leverage that infrastructure that will be in place. At the moment, I think more of the focus is on putting that infrastructure in place. And this is what we are seeing around at the moment. And this is, I keep mentioning, about the open collaboration, and he mentioned another example of good collaboration we're having to enable the operators to have that capability and to be able to provide that capability at scale. Because one thing is creating a small proof of concept and trying to move forward. But then when we are delivering in a telco world, we are preparing services for scale. So how we move from that POC to the right scale, and this is where as well we have been working on with our ecosystem to make sure that we work together with the telcos on that journey on providing that. And again, as I mentioned in the presentation, there is just a small subset of partners that we're working on. The ecosystem is much larger than that.
Thank you. That's really interesting. And I guess, when we talk about AI RAN, yes, of course, we're talking about the technical feasibility, and there's that side that, a lot of the companies are exploring at the moment. I guess I wanted to extend that idea one step further and to the customers themselves. As Alice mentioned, in many industries at the moment, customers are kind of helping shape a lot of the solutions rather than just simply consuming them. So I was wondering, how can customers really become the active participants in the AI RAN ecosystem rather than just end users that get like a one-size-fits-all solution, and kind of what might a meaningful collaboration with customers really look like? And I can see you, Ankit, nodding your head, so maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, sure. No issue. Okay, customer actually, if because obviously it's a AI RAN, so RAN is also a very important part here basically. So customers like network operators, they can be always active partners by joining the group like AI RAN Alliance, which is I think already we have 100+ members there, and there are key players like SoftBank, T-Mobile, those are already part of AI Alliance members, and most welcome. If we can make it that bigger, then it's better. More customer will join that AI Alliance. And another thing is like running a simple like data for AI program, like a set clear rules for data use and privacy, and share the identified data while keeping raw data on-prem, and adopt common data formats, and provide rapid feedback from live trials basically, because it's very important. Whatever we are doing with customers, if we are not getting positive response or negative response, based on that response only we will do more polished information we can get to like our architect or our engineers, and we can make it things faster. So, and they can engage early co-design solution also, like the best example, which like 1 year back, if you have seen that press release, Nokia, Nvidia, and T-Mobile, they came together and they try to make it that kind of product or the planning of the product that can be good for future. And that's like day before yesterday we have announced the same thing. So it's not like immediately that partnership has announced or something. It's we are working since like a long for this period. So these are the places, and they can co-innovate to share matrices such as efficiency, energy, and latency. So I think it's a lot there customers can support.
Interesting. Roberto, do you have a perspective on this? You know, are you engaging customers in any way?
Yes, I think that's like key, engaging customers, no, with this AI RAN initiative. Hanne was saying that maybe we are right now, or we see that different companies are working on having the capabilities needed to offer AI in the RAN. But it will be, in order for that to be successful, we need to get involved, not just the telco, the chipset provider, the compute power provider, but customers. Because if we don't have real use cases using AI for RAN, I am sure that the B2B customers, they are gonna find the solution in another architecture. They are gonna build their own data centers near their premises without using the RAN for that. So I think that is key for us, not keeping this project like telcos and computer providers and AI providers project, but a project that we need to bring big B2B customers in order to prove that there is a case here and that there is more efficient to do it or exploiting the RAN sites and capabilities than doing by themselves by the B2B customers, no? So I think that if we don't move quickly in this initiative, maybe we are going to be late, and the B2B customers we're going to find a way without ourselves, no? Maybe with private spectrum or other technologies that one way or another puts the telco out of the game.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hanne.
No, I agree with Ankit and Roberto. When I see you know, the AI RAN trends, so there is two sides to that. I do see the improvement and the services that the operators will be able to build, leveraging such infrastructure on one side. And I see as well the approach from the external enterprise, which for me probably is the biggest opportunity for the operators is there, right? To provide those innovative services for the B2B customers. Now, in terms of participation, because this is what your question was, definitively I will agree with Ankit into the AI RAN Alliance, but as well the O-RAN Alliance, because those alliances need to come together in order to make sure that everything is interoperable and the operators will have a way of standardize on the infrastructure that they're going to build for this. And with regard to B2B, the B2B customers, there is as well the initiative that is the GSMA Open Gateway initiative. And one of the working group on the Open Gateway, specifically on the Camara project, that is Linux Foundation project that is co-led by the GSMA, where they are defining the APIs for the consumption of such services. And that is as well something that is interesting for the operators to be part of that. And because there you will find as well the developers and the companies that are developing those future services that will consume that infrastructure. So it will be interesting as well for them to participate into such activities as well. As Roberto was mentioning, is not about, and I mentioned that during the presentation, it's not about providing this raw capacity of GPUs for AI, right? Is enabling their customers to actually consume and leverage that infrastructure for whatever they need to build on their own business. So and this is where the operators will play their role of catalyst as well of innovation for the B2B customers.
Yeah, and Roberto's statement has reminds me very good quotation. Like if you are on time, you are late actually.
You're very right. I guess while we're on the topic of the customer, there was a question from the audience on the real world examples of customer use cases. And I guess we don't really have any, real deployments, but there are some POCs. So the question was about what are the use cases for customers for AI and RAN and AI on RAN specifically. And I guess the interest was mainly in Europe, but I guess, any perspective is really welcome. Would anyone like to start on that one?
Yeah, let me start because since like 2 days I'm handling these kind of questions. So let me give just few examples for that.
I thought you would be a good one for that.
Yeah. For AI and RAN point of view, like in general, like if we are talking about RAN specific traffic, mostly like there are 6 to 7 hours, which I can treat as a busy hours, like in the morning 2-3 hours and in the evening 2-3 hours. So rest of the like 14-15 hours, it's not that much loaded. Like resources which RAN is using is hardly like 30-40%, not more than that in those hours. So what we can do with those resources? So this very good example is AI and RAN. We can share those resources with AI, and we can obviously we have orchestration SMO stuff which has a common orchestration RAN and AI which can distribute the resources properly whenever it's needed. So based on that also, whenever it's needed RAN, obviously RAN could be priority because it's a real-time service or something. Then we can allocate resources to RAN. Whenever RAN is not using, we can allocate resources to AI part also. So it's a very good example of sharing the same platform for both AI and RAN. And there are more use cases which we are still working on. That is, sensing is one of the very good use case, which these days everyone is talking. And yesterday, and I have seen that in GTC, DC also, that many companies are working on that ISAC, that how to recognize faces, how to recognize drone and all these things. And obviously, wireless network is also needed for that purpose. So AI is with the help of AI, RAN and RAN, we can detect this kind of and safety concern and all this, we can solve that. So these are a couple of examples. There are many more we are working on, but it's not metallized, so we cannot share right now, but it's a couple of examples. Over to you, Ms. Roberto, if you have something in your mind.
Want to go next, Roberto, or do I continue?
Oh, well, well, at least in Latin America, we are not seeing any AI on RAN or AI and RAN use cases. We are more in the stage of AI for RAN, where we have a lot of cases regarding power savings and other kind of efficiency that we can get in the RAN, but not sharing the RAN compute power with B2B customers or any other company.
And that goes along with what I have been seeing around the world on operators that are already moving forward in introducing the capabilities in the radio access network. I agree with you, Roberto, that there is a huge potential for performance improvement, for sustainability, autonomous networks, right? That infrastructure will be leveraged internally by the operator, and we are not yet seeing what the next generation of services will be. That is what keeps me excited about this journey. Is what is coming next, and this is the part that is the most important, right? Not to lose focus on to what we are building now is the foundation. Okay, what is coming next is where we can actually realize that opportunity. And Keith mentioned, right, that there is a lot of technology that is being put in place already, a lot of progress. We haven't touched yet what is going to be the next wave. And on that wave, for example, and we're seeing already the introduction of agentic AI, right? How agentic AI will change the network and how agentic AI will change the behavior of the B2B customers and how that will interact with our network. We're not there yet. This is evolving day to day, right? So I think by next year we're going to see a little bit more of that, and that probably will create as well other opportunities in how the infrastructure and what need to be standardized as well for that infrastructure and for telcos to provide services for that agentic wave that is coming.
Great. Well, while we're on the topic of the use cases, there's another question that just came in, specifically addressed to Ankit. Basically, you know, the idea of freeing up network resources for third-party workloads does sound, you know, really great in theory, but in practice, would you not find that you would need compute resources to run the network at exactly the same time as third parties want the compute? So, you know, would telco and third parties not both want compute at the same time, and how would you go about that?
Yeah, like if I take the recent example, which the system which we had will manufacture in future, which is based on GPU-based system, and we can do many parallel processing on that cases. Also, we can share few items because we are checking like if we are leave big operators who has many cells to means RAN point of view, like a few has like 27 cells or 30 cells. But if you are talking about European operators or some other operators, they have very less number of cells also, like Latin America also. In that case, it's not big, I would say, bandwidth we need to serve there. So it's a huge number of resources are free actually. So we can easily use those workloads, AI workloads for on that particular resources. And that is a use case, even though I cannot share much because it's still like not shared publicly. But we have very good use cases for that purpose, and I think in coming days we are going to release some papers based on that.
Right, thank you.
And I can add to that. So it's not just to one a small infrastructure that will be available in one site, right? Is that the infrastructure will be across the whole network, and that includes centralized and the one of the capabilities that we are looking at. There are basically two capabilities. One is to be able to have the flexibility to distribute, you know, and leverage all the capability or the capacities available on the network at one moment in time. But as well, the capability of distributing how we can serve models at larger scale. And this is something that we have been working on as well with some partners to achieve that that capability for the operator. So you have to see that as the whole and not just to one punctual CPU or GPU available next to the antenna, to that specific antenna.
Yeah, well, it's obvious that for us it's key that that our performance will not be impacted because we are running other models in our RAN. So these new technologies and the way that they are deployed and the orchestration and the way that the compute is managed is key for us to trust this technology and to be willing to put in our sites. No?
Yeah, and you touch a good point there, Roberto, when it's come to orchestration, because this is the focus on the work group 2 on the AI RAN Alliance, okay, to standardize and develop the specification for how that orchestration should work, leveraging the fact that that you have that service to deliver and you have to commit to those SLAs on the service that you are delivering, and at the same time leveraging the capacity that is available on the rest of the network when that capacity is available. So this is a very important work that that is being driven in the AI RAN Alliance on the work group 2 that we are participating. One of my colleagues is closely working on that. It's very, very relevant and very important for what's coming next.
Yeah, and I will guess that in these inference models, not all the model has to live in the RAN side, but part of the model can be in the core data center, and then update the RAN inference models as needed, no, in order for them to be lighter than having all the model the entire model in the RAN side.
Correct, and there is a lot of technology that we are building at the moment to achieve that. That goes from the virtualization of the capacity with the VLLM, that introduces as well the LLMD that allow the distribution that you're mentioning. Say, okay, what part and where and how I manage all the capacity and how do I deploy this at scale. This is technology that we are working on and either in the open source communities on the CNCF, but as well on the AI RAN Alliance as we speak. There will be some news next week on what we're doing on the semantic routing as well. There is a lot of technology that is being put in place to achieve that opportunity, to address that opportunity.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, I do hope that answers the question. And I'd like to bring you back to the ecosystem point, which is kind of the focus of this webinar. So from, the earlier answers, it does sound like we're heading towards a very, very large and very diverse ecosystem, which is very exciting, but could potentially be a little bit complex to coordinate. So I guess the question is, how large and diverse do you expect the ecosystem to be? How many players, well, not naming numbers, I guess, do you think are going to get involved, beyond the hyperscalers and chip makers and the key players at the moment? And what might that mean for governance and coordination, ensuring that all of these different players can work together effectively without slowing down the progress at the same time? Ankit, you've been quiet for a while. Maybe we can start with you, but feel free to hand it over to somebody else.
Yeah, you already answered all the questions, but in general, I would like to add, yeah, it's increasing. The ecosystem is already, I would say, large, and now it's keep expanding because AI Alliance, as I mentioned previously, also it's already 100+ members, but it's not because we have many countries, many operators, so it's not that much number, but it's still it has including operators, vendors, academia, and chip makers, and now new AI startups. There are many AI startups have also joined that AI RAN Alliance. So as AI applications expand to devices like XR glasses, wearables, and robotics, then obviously the ecosystem is expected to grow further, basically. So requiring robust governance and coordination to manage that collaboration standardization and value transformation across stakeholders. It's really important for that purpose.
I guess when we talk about that, like what comes up quite often is fragmentation, but at the same time also, dominance by one or two players. So kind of how can telcos and other partners in the ecosystem ensure that AI RAN ecosystem avoids that fragmentation, but at the same time duplication of effort and that sort of stuff? Like, is there a sweet spot between that openness of collaboration and some sort of structure? Maybe Roberto, you have an opinion on that?
Yes, I think that we need structure, because we need to be able to bring in new participants and to change the way that we are providing the AI on RAN. And we as telcos, we don't want to like lock in with just one kind of supplier or technology, but be able to change as the situation and the circumstances change. So I would say that we for sure need standards and a way of deploying this that make this interoperability and of different partners be able to happen in the network.
Yeah, actually, Roberto has explained Nokia any RAN concept here. You also allow all our server maker, cache, and all. So it's any RAN concept basically.
Yeah.
So I do agree with Roberto that standardization is required, and I think this is where participation on alliance like AI RAN Alliance and the O-RAN Alliance, especially right now where we are starting to open up discussion between those alliances and 3GPP. So looking at the future of what the future network is going to look like, and these the expectation of, for example, 6G being an AI native network. Okay, what that mean and how we can realize that. So there is very important that participation on those forums, and I see what you mean, with regard to the fragmentation, because that is what we should avoid at all costs. Otherwise, it will be really difficult to address as an industry the opportunity.
Thank you. Well, we're nearly out of time, but I want to squeeze in one final audience question, which is kind of around the partnership models and what partnership models can ensure that mutual value creation rather than, one-sided dependency as has happened before, specifically for telcos. So are there any sort of examples of good practice, maybe from Open RAN or, any other alliance work, or anything else that, telecom operators can learn from?
So I'm trying to digest the question, Gavisha. So with regard to participation, I think we already mentioned some of the biggest organizations out there. With regard to how they can leverage what already exists, and I think this is something that we have been doing now for some time with operators on co-creating together and exploring with them on how they can leverage that capability, and most of the question goes down then after that is, okay, what is the use case that I should implement? But before that is definitively operators should be at the moment, all of them, is they are not exploring, they should be exploring right now in the exploratory phase. Okay, there are operators that are a little beyond that now of result of the exploration, and they have already a roadmap for what they want to do and how they want to do things. We are looking and we are seeing as well at the same time what we call the sovereignty cloud demand. Okay, and that include that part of the infrastructure as well. So for telcos that want to be able to address the opportunities on the sovereignty cloud, for example, this kind of infrastructure is part of that. So some of them are already accelerating on building offerings around, for example, GPU as a service that is basically providing that raw capacity, right? Other operators are already going beyond that and already providing models as a service to their these customers. So there is already some steps that operators have taken on that regard, but definitively for the operators that are not yet into started the journey on AI, exploration is definitely a must. You are not doing anything yet, and I think Roberto mentioned that as well before, right? Because one of the requirements will be the skills, right, and how you skill up the people within the organization to face that challenge, and this is what we are seeing as well. So with as a result of all this exploration that we have been doing with customers, that they are more and more confident on what the technology can do, and with the level of maturity of the technology. But again, the technology is evolving every day, is doing a bigger step. We get news every week when it's come to AI.
Yeah, I would maybe totally agree, Hanen, with you, and I will maybe say that as an example that of collaboration that we have made before, maybe the virtualization of network functions that we built with the hardware providers, application providers, virtualization providers, and we build an ecosystem that we could put into the cloud our network functions. That maybe is a good example of how can we collaborate between different kind of companies to bring this initiative forward.
Great. Thank you. So I guess that's all the time we have for today. So thank you again to our panelists, Hanan, Ankit, Roberto. Thank you so much for your insights and for joining us and for sharing your expertise, and to Alice as well for the excellent presentation earlier. And of course, thank you all for joining and for contributing with your questions. So as a quick reminder, we'll be sending out the recording of the session, a copy of the slides, and also the Q&A document with the questions that we didn't have time to get to. I really hope you found this session useful and inspiring, and that it kind of gives you some ideas on how collaboration across the ecosystem can accelerate AI RAN deployment and also value creation. Have a great rest of your day, and we really hope to see you in our next webinar. Bye.
Thank you.